Hello, geometry students. Today we're going to be talking about the Pythagorean theorem. This video should be 5 minutes or less, so I might be moving through this pretty quickly. So talking about the Pythagorean theorem, it can only be used on right triangles. We know that something is a right triangle by the square in the bottom of our triangle. That lets us know it's a 90-degree angle, and therefore we have a right triangle. Now the Pythagorean theorem is leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared. And we know that something is our legs because they're going to make up a part of that square in the bottom of the triangle. Or the easiest way I like to think about it is that that square in the bottom of our triangle is pointing us to our hypotenuse. Now the other way that you're going to see the Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. C is our hypotenuse, all right, which will be across from our square in the bottom of our triangle. Now let's go ahead and work a couple of examples. This one, I would like you guys to give me your answers in exact form, which means you will get a radical for an answer. We know this is a right triangle because we have a square in the bottom of our triangle, and that square is pointing us to our hypotenuse, which in this case is going to be x. So let's plug in our values into the Pythagorean theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So I'm going to get the square root of 10 squared plus 3 squared equals x squared. Now, it doesn't matter which of these two values you let be a or b. Order does not matter in addition. So I get the square root of 10 squared, which is going to just give me 10, plus 3 squared is 9, which equals x squared. 10 plus 9 is 19. 19 equals x squared. We're going to get rid of that squared value by taking the square root of both sides. All right. And when we take the square root of a value, we're going to get a positive and a minus and a negative value. So what I really get is plus or minus the square root of 19 equals x. Because we're talking about a triangle and a distance, most of our distances are positive. So in this case, both of our values on our legs are positive, which means our answer should be positive, and we get the square root of 19 equals x. All right, we cannot break 19 down into perfect squares. Therefore, we just get the square root of 19 equals x as our answer. All right, one more quick example here. I have this triangle. I want you to give me your answers in an approximated form, which means a decimal. You can give me a decimal, round it to the nearest tenth. So looking at this, we have our right triangle. That square in the bottom is pointing us to what will be our C value. So let's plug everything in. This is going to equal C. All right, and the order on our legs does not matter. So I get x squared plus 3 square root of 5 squared equals 20 squared. Now let's see if we can simplify this. So I get x squared plus, we need to distribute that squared to both values inside of our parentheses. So I get 9 times the square root of 5 squared just gives me 5 equals 20 squared, or 400. 9 times 5 is 45. So I get x squared plus 45 equals 400. We need to isolate our x squared in order to get this to work, to be able to take a square root. So I subtract 45 from both sides. And let's move over here. So I get x squared equals, this is going to cancel, 355. Now we take the square root of both sides. So I get x equals plus or minus the square root of 355. The square root of 355, when you plug it into your calculator, is 18.8. All right. Don't forget, when you take a root, you get a plus or a minus.